Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I'm in Aberdeen in New Jersey. Not the same Aberdeen that I studied chemistry in the motherland of Scotland, no, Aberdeen, New Jersey, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, we're going to have a little look at this place behind me, which is Alternate Ending Beer Company. This is another brewery that was recommended to me by my good friend Dave. He's brought me down here to have a little look, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll go in, we'll have a little look around, we'll try some of the beers, and they do have pizza here as well, so we might see about trying some of that nice pizza. So let's crack on then and see what this one's going to have in store for us. Alternate Ending Beer Company, let's get started. Alright guys, well here's the kind of external part of Alternate Ending Beer Company. As you can see, it's really quite nice, but we are pretty much just in an American sort of strip mall really. The place is actually quite busy, so what we'll do in just a second is we'll do a little panorama inside and let you see what the interior looks like, because there's just too many people to kind of do a normal walk around as we normally would. But my reviews will be filmed just up the end there, so yeah, let's go in and see what it's all about. So yeah guys, the brewery is quite busy, so I can't really do a kind of walk around as I normally would. But I'll just give you a wee sort of panorama shot, which should be quite nice. You can see the main bar is over there. They've got the barrel room just behind that, and there you can see the merch is over there. We might see if we can get a closer look at that later. And then the kitchen is actually over there, and they've got more space for a sort of private room kind of restaurant thing over there. But yeah, that's a little panorama of Alternate Ending Brewing Company for you there. It is pretty nice, I have to say, but yeah. So yeah guys, a little bit crowded in there, so I couldn't really get up to the bar to show you the tap list and things. So they've separated this quite nicely on the menu though. So as you can see, they've got a few lagers here. The Royal Rug, which is a German Pilsner. The Willie's Gold, which is a Fodder Lagered Helles. That unfortunately was out today when we came, so we couldn't try that. They've got the Hanzo, which is a table lager with jasmine green tea. And then they've got a bunch of different IPAs. So the first one is the What If, 7.5% ABV. The Who's Next, which seems to be like a series of single hop beers that they do. So this one is Citra. The Via Con Dios, a West Coast IPA, 7% ABV. The Schwing, which is a Sea Hop IPA, 7%. Prestige Worldwide IPA, 7.7. Pretty Bird Double IPA, 8.5. Chuckleheads number 13, a double IPA, 8.2. Lawrence Wings, which has quite an interesting hop bill, I have to say. But yeah, you can see the little 9 ounces of these are sort of $5 to $6.50 actually. So yeah, somewhere in the region of like €5 or so for a little half, if you like. But then a few other styles down here. They've got the Gimme Some, which is an Imperial Stout. The All-American Amazonian Fruited Sour Ale. Melissa, a mixed culture with peaches, toasted cardamom, sounds quite interesting. A hop seltzer, and then a bottled beer at the bottom there, the Kobayashi 2023, and a Beautiful Friendship 2021. So these look really quite nice actually. Nice tap list here. Alright guys, well time for our first tasting then here at Alternate Ending in Aberdeen in New Jersey. So the first beer we're going to have a look at then is called Royal Rug. It comes in at 4.1% ABV, and this one is a German style Pilsner. So yeah, when this beer poured, it had about just under a finger of a frothy, I would have said perfect white head. That has faded away to be a nice kind of thinner foamy layer now. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up toward the bottom of the head there. As you can see, pale golden straw colour. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. Any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put in will also affect the colour of your beer too, but you don't often have to care about that when it comes to sort of German style Pilsners and lagers in general, to be honest with you. So remember, the Pilsner is a style that originates in the Czech Republic in the city of Pilsen. It was actually developed by a Bavarian brewer who moved to the city, and that beer is Pilsner Urquell, or in Czech, Plzeňský Plášťoj. But yeah, for me, Czech Pilsners tend to be a little bit more kind of yeasty and bready and slightly creamy in their mouthfeel, whereas the German Pilsners tend to be a little bit drier and more crisp in terms of their malty character. You do also have Italian Pilsners these days, which are a little bit more kind of bitter and hoppy and things. But yeah, certainly looks quite nice, this one. And it's, in terms of the style, this one is nothing that you wouldn't expect, to be honest with you. Let's have a wee look at the nose and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Yeah, aroma-wise, that is pretty nice. What I would say is that it gives you all the aromas you'd expect, but it's just that little bit sweeter because of the American malts, to be honest with you. Like I've said in many reviews before, a lot of the American takes on styles that I've found tend to be a little bit more kind of, they tend to be a little bit more kind of sweet, and you can just get a little bit of difference. You just get a little bit of flavour difference because of the different types of malt, to be honest with you. But otherwise, it's pretty much what you'd expect. So for me, the backbone of this beer, fresh white bready bread crust. You can smell that right away. There is a little tiny touch of woody character in this one, and you've also got a little bit of like Jacob's cream cracker, good little bit of fluffy fresh white bread, but then you do get quite a little bit of the kind of dry, crisp Pilsner malt in this one. And as I said, that's really what distinguishes a German Pilsner from the Czech variety, is that little bit more kind of crisp Pilsner malt. But on top of that, you are getting a little bit of like a McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of note. There's a little bit of kind of cookie character to this one, which I think is quite nice. So definitely picking that up in this beer. So yeah, lovely little bit of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity note in there for sure. And you're also getting just, there's a little bit of a yeasty character coming out of this one, like a little bit of an almost slightly, I don't know if it's right to say peppery, but there's a little bit of that kind of really dry, white bready character coming out of the yeast in this one, which is nice. Now on the hoppy side of things, the beer is kind of what you'd expect. There's a little bit of a kind of smooth, earthy kind of note coming on. There's a little bit of a kind of smooth herbal character as well. But then the floral note characters you get out of this one are a little bit more spicy. It makes me think of like Czech Sats hops, Jatits as they would say over there. So yeah, it could be the other thing is that it could be a slightly higher alpha acid German hop. And the thing that I look for in these beers is authenticity. So if they're using like German and Czech malts and German and Czech hops, that's a good sign. But if they're calling it a German Pilsner, you do need to go with the German varieties. That's what I would say. But yeah, a nice little bit of a slightly spicy floral aromaticity, which to me makes me think, as I say, a slightly higher alpha acid German hop, maybe Pearl or Hercules or something like this. But you also get a nice kind of smooth, grassy character out of this one. So that is really, really nice actually. On the fruity side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. There's a little bit of like, there is a little touch of a, say, yeah, there's a little touch of a slight kind of like sultana, white green grapey character to this one. But you do have a nice little bit of oily pear and quite a little bit of sort of, there's a bit of a sort of fresh green apple note coming out of this one, which is really nice. Yeah, it's kind of everything you'd expect, to be honest with you. I do get a little touch of a gooseberry under there too. But really nice smelling Pilsner, this one. I think this is going to be good. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one then. This is the Royal Rug, a 4.8% German style Pilsner. Our first beer here at Alternate Ending in Aberdeen in New Jersey. Slàinte, skål, cheers.
This one's my favorite.
That's definitely one of them.
That's nice. That's good. First impression of this one is, again, flavour profile is pretty damn authentic, but it's just that little bit sweeter and that little bit wetter than what you will find in Germany itself. There is, I'm pretty sure there is a little bit of American malt in here, but you are getting quite a bit of German malt in it, and I do think it's got the German hops. The hops are a little bit less spicy on the actual flavour than they are in the aroma, which is interesting. But yeah, authentic to style, that's definitely fair to say. It does, you know, you compare this to the German Helles or the Czech Svetli, it definitely has that little bit more kind of crisp malty character, as you would expect. So yeah, let's just break this down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. The middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer for me, it's got a lovely little bit of that fresh white bready bread crust coming out of it. Further forward on that middle third of your palate, a little touch of woodiness. Then you've got a kind of Jacob's cream cracker type note on top of that. There's a little bit of a kind of sweeter wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. Then you've got that lighter fluffy white bread, nearly knocking my beer over, that little bit of lighter fluffy white bread just sitting on top of that. Above all of that, you get the sweeter side of the beer. You start to get the kind of more biscuity side of the Pilsner malt coming out on this one. So in the dead centre of your palate, you can feel the concentration of alcohols. So really concentrated sweet biscuity note in there. As you move further out toward the edges of your palate, you've got a little bit of a more McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. And then further back on that middle third of your palate, you start to get the kind of dryness, the crisp, dry Pilsner malt in there. So yeah, middle third of your palate is really nicely done on this one. So the back third of your palate then, quite often on the back third of your palate you'll get similar flavours just at different intensities. And that's definitely the case here. So the back third of your palate, you get the bread crust again, which feels a little bit drier. The Jacob's cream cracker feels a little bit drier as well. Then above that, you get a little bit of wholemeal brown bread, which feels a little bit lighter and more airy. Then the fluffier white bread, which feels a little bit lighter and more airy. Then above that, you get the nice dry kind of crisp Pilsner malt coming out of this one as well. So the Pilsner malt is a little bit drier. Then you get the yeasty side of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of the beer is a little bit more of the yeasty side of the beer is like a kind of dense white. It's like a dense and sweet mix of white and brown bread in there. It's got a little bit of cracker and wood around it, then just a little bit of honeycomb, but that sits above everything else on that back third of your palate, and you can feel the flavour of this beer is taller the further back you go. Then as you move into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together. So that's really nice. So yeah, I do think that's really, really nice. Yeah, malty and the yeasty side of this beer is pretty good. But like I say, a little bit wetter than what you'll find in Germany. On the hoppy side of things then, again it's kind of what you'd expect. Back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of a kind of earthiness in there. As you move further forward along the sides of your palate, you get a little bit of herbal character, and as you push further forward toward the kind of front corners of your palate, you do get a nice little bit of floral aromaticity out of this one. It does have a little touch of spice to it. I do wonder if it's maybe like Pearl or something, one of the slightly higher alpha acid German hops in there. But yeah, it has that little touch of spiciness to it, which is nice. Round the front curve of the tongue then, it's got a little bit of a lighter, more grassy kind of colour to it, or grassy kind of flavour I should say. But it's like a wet, freshly cut grass, which is nice. But yeah, let's look at the front third of your palate then. So yeah, front third of your palate in this beer. It's very much kind of, you've got a little bit of that crisp white bready bread crust in the base, then you've got a wee bit of, you do have a little bit more of kind of Jacob's cream cracker above that, a little bit of the bready notes, and then you've got that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So for me, at the back of that front third of your palate, you've got a little bit more of, you've got a little bit of a kind of sultana type note, you know, dry white-green raisins. As you move further forward, it's more of an oily sort of pear, and then as you move toward the front part of that front third of your palate, there's a wee touch of gooseberry underneath, and then a wee bit of a sort of fresh green apple on top, which is great. So yeah, on top of that, you've got some really nice, I think on top of that, you do get just a very slight kind of lemony, limey, kind of spicy thing out of it, which I think is great. But yeah, flavour-wise, this is a really nice Pilsner. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say that this beer, it's kind of mid-range in the light-bodied kind of part of the spectrum. Carbonation is quite crisp. It's got a nice kind of slightly wet and more crisp mouthfeel to it. IBU-wise, I think it's maybe 25 or 30, which is standard for the style. The malt base, as we say, bit of a kind of drier, yeah, a little bit of a kind of graininess underneath, smoothness in the middle, a little bit of sweetness on top, and as I say, you've got a little touch of an oily, fruity character to this one, which lingers into the aftertaste. But yeah, really nice Pilsner on this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, but we are going to try another style or two while we're at this brewery. So I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Catch you then. Alright guys, so here's a little look at the menu then at Alternate Ending, and they're calling their food Tallulahs. So yeah, a Tallulahs of Asbury Park production. So yeah, the little previews here, which are quite nice, the sort of starters, sourdough pretzel, sweet corn fries, fried cheese curds, which I was quite curious about those, house chips and daily salsa, party wings, buffalo, barbecue lime varieties, crispy cauliflower, arugula watermelon salad, large Caesar salad as well, and a hummus mezza. Not really sure what that is, but yeah, they've got a few sandwiches down here as well. California Dreamin' Burger, the BLT, the chicken cheesesteak, can't believe it's vegan burger, crispy tofu sandwich, and then a meatball hoagie, which did actually sound quite interesting as well. I was nearly having that one. But the famous thing here is the sourdough pan pizza. So yeah, a few different things here. It does come in as in Detroit style, 9x9. You can see a few different varieties of it there. You can also kind of build your own, which is quite nice. But yeah, a few other things down there for dessert too. Donuts, handcrafted ice cream, and a Brooksy sundae. So yeah, quite an interesting menu here at Alternate Ending. So yeah, a Tallulahs of Asbury Park production. Cool. So yeah guys, I went for one of the pizzas and I just got the classic with a little bit of pepperoni and a little bit of meatball on it. And I have to say, it looks pretty good, so let's see what this is all about. I'm really curious about this one. Alright guys, so let's just have a little look at this pizza. I'm really curious about this because it looks pretty special, I have to say. It's going to be hot as shit just now because it's basically fresh out the oven, but we'll see how we go. So, as you see, I'm burning my fingertips with this, but let's just do it. Pain is your friend, it lets you know you're still alive. There we go. So, yeah, this will be good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Base is nice and fluffy. It's not too often I get to eat one of these kind of pan-type pizzas, as we would call them. What's it you call them in America?
Deep dish?
Deep dish, that's what I was looking for. I can't English these days.
Chicago style.
Chicago style pizza, there we go. But yeah, base is lovely. Put a little bit of the meats in there. It's really nice. I mean, the cheese has got a lovely little bit of herbal quality to it, which you want. The pepperoni is nice and kind of just nice and rich. The meatball is good. The tomato sauce is really rich as well. To be quite honest, I've only taken a bite or two of this. I'm not much of a food reviewer, I'm more of a beer reviewer, but I have to say this does go down very well. So yeah, this is just a classic pepperoni with a little bit of meatball on it. Surprised they don't offer a kind of meat feast pizza here, because that's something that they do love in America. But yeah, quite happy with the food here at Alternate Ending. We'll see if we have a dessert or something, but we'll just see how it goes. But this is really nice. Do try it if you find yourself here in Aberdeen, New Jersey. Catch you guys in a second with something else. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 2 then here at Alternate Ending. So the second beer we're going to have a look at is the Via Con Dios, which comes in at 7% ABV, and this one is a West Coast IPA. So Via Con Dios, I believe in Spanish means go with God. I think it's a reference to the Point Break film, the surfer one, which was, I saw that quite recently actually before I came over to the US this time, which was quite funny. But yeah, this one is a 7% West Coast IPA. It's hopped with Centennial and Citra, both American hops. Centennial comes in about 12% alpha acid, gives you this lovely big sort of lemony, zesty type character, and the Citra is one of the classic American high alpha acid hops. Usually quite a little bit of mango, sometimes kind of quite a bit of passion fruit and grapefruit, and also a good little bit of a lemon limey character as well. You know, West Coast IPAs were traditionally made with the sea hops, the Cascade, the Chinook, the Centennial, these kind of things. But yeah, West Coast IPA, 7% ABV. For me, this one comes in with a lovely, very light amber colour to it when it poured. It had about a 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head. That has faded away to be a very sort of thin foamy layer. You can see 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there, and you can see that the beer is pretty damn crystal clear. But yeah, nice little bit of light amber colour to it. So remember again, the colour of the beer depends mostly on the type of malts you use, length of the water bottle, and so on. For me, West West Coast IPAs can lean two ways. They can be a little bit more biscuity and bready, such as Pliny the Elder from Russian River, or they can be a little bit more caramelly and oily, such as the Sierra Nevada Torpedo. So yeah, that's the thing with these. But on the nose there, I don't think we need to say anything more about the appearance of this one. The only other thing I would add about the West Coast IPA style is that these beers tend to use only barley malt, whereas New England hazies use a bit of wheat and oat as well, hence the haziness. But yeah, let's have a look at the aroma of this one then and see how we go. Yeah, aroma-wise, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one. Nice little bit of breadiness there in the base. It doesn't smell as if it's going to be too bitter, but we'll need to see when we actually taste the thing. And you've got this lovely, more oily, fruity character to it, which I think is really nice too. Yeah, aroma-wise, this is really, really nice. So the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely kind of fresh, white bready bread crust in there. Little touch of a kind of slightly woody character to it as well. A little bit of a kind of Jacob's cream cracker too. And then you've also got the different bready layers on top of this. So a wee bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bready sort of thing for sure. Yeah, a wee bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bready kind of thing. And then above that you start to get a fluffier white bread, and that's really nice. Like I said earlier, this one really leans more toward that kind of bready, biscuity end of the West Coast IPA spectrum. So it's quite a sweet. It is quite a sweet white and kind of wholemeal brown bread that comes out of this one, which I think is really nice. But on top of that, you've got a little bit of a kind of biscuity note to it. You do have a little bit of straight up caramel, so you've got a wee touch of oily caramel, nice sort of McVitie's digestive biscuity notes out of it as well. And then you've also got, yeah, you've got that nice little bit of sweet caramel in there, nice little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuits. And then yeah, underneath, other than that, I don't think there's too much to report on the kind of brown sugary sort of thing. So yeah, I think that covers everything we need to say about the sort of malty, yeasty side of the beer. So for me, on the hoppy side of things, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness there. You do have quite a little bit of floral aromaticity. I don't think this one's overly pine resiny, to be honest with you. For me, it's more a kind of bright, oily floral aromaticity. But you do get quite a little bit of a zesty, grassy component to this one, which I think is going to be more the Centennial than it will be the Citra. But yeah, remember the thing is with West Coast IPAs is that these use quite a lot of early edition hopping, and the early edition hopping is what gives you mostly your bitterness and also the deeper, danker aroma. Late edition hopping gives you a little bit of bitterness, but mainly flavour and aroma, and it gives you quite a bright floral aromaticity. And then dry hopping after the wort boil is complete, that's going to give you mainly flavour and aroma and also a kind of bright green component. So you'll notice that with this beer. This one does have a little bit of all three. West Coast IPAs use a bit of all three. New England IPAs tend to rely on late edition and dry hopping. So that's definitely noticeable here. On the fruity side of things, you do get a little touch of that grapefruit and that slightly stronger passion fruit. And then you get the nice big sort of oily mango as well, which I think is really nice. So yeah, stronger grapefruit, a little bit of passion fruit, oily mango. And then you've also got that really nice, you've got a little bit of an almost kind of, you do get a little touch of like a sort of lychee kind of note out of this one, which you can get from Citra. And then you've also got a bit of a kind of stronger lemony limey character too. The lemon's going to come from the Centennial, but the kind of lemony limey note will also come from the Citra. So that's really nice. But yeah, aroma wise, this one is really quite nice. So as I always say, take a little bit of time to go over the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But I think we should give this one a try and see what it's all about. So this one is the Via Con Dios, the Go With God if you like. 7% West Coast IPA, our second beer here at Alternate Ending in Aberdeen. Nearly forgot that there, even though I studied in Aberdeen for many years. Slàinte, Skål, cheers. So yeah, this is really nice actually. I'm going to say straight away, this is a more old school kind of West Coast IPA. Lovely kind of big bitterness and things. Yeah, this is proper old school West Coast IPA, which I really do like. For me, It gives me everything I would want from the style. Quite often, the more modern takes on this style just take away some of the bitterness. This one doesn't hold back, so big thumbs up for me. But yeah, middle third of your palate then, you've got a lovely little bit of that kind of fresh, white bready bread crust in there, forms the backbone of the beer. Little teeny hint of woodiness further toward the front of that middle third of your palate. Wee touch of cracker as well. Then you've got a dense wholemeal brown bready layer in there. And on top of that you get the white bready layer, which I think is really nice too. So yeah, this gets a little bit sweeter the more you go into the aftertaste with it as well. It's really nice. So yeah, bread crust, sweeter wholemeal brown bread, a fluffier white bread. Then you start to get the kind of brown sugary notes out of this one. So on top of that, you do get a little bit of a kind of, you get a little bit of that sweet sort of, you can feel there's a little bit of a kind of oily, like McVitie's digestive biscuity note to this one. It's a wee bit more kind of grainy and crackery toward the edges of that middle third of your palate, but in the dead centre of your tongue you can feel a straight up sweet oily caramel, which is great. So yeah, big sweet oily caramel there in the middle of your palate. That of course is covering the alcohol. Then you've just got a wee bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity note coming out of this one toward the edges of your tongue. This is everything you'd expect from a West Coast IPA though, but that covers the middle third of your palate. The back third of your palate for me is quite similar, but the flavours just come out at different intensities. But do remember, like generally speaking, the further back on your palate you go, the drier and more bitter the flavours are, the further forward you are, the sweeter they are. But yeah, on the back third of your palate you've got a nice little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust. Once again, it's a bit drier. The crackery layer's there. The wholemeal brown bready layer is there as well, but just a little bit taller and more airy. Then above that you've got the kind of white bready layer, which again is a little bit lighter and more airy. And then above all of that you can feel some of the drier biscuity notes just creeping over on top of that too. But yeah, the malty side of this beer is really nice. Above everything else you've got a wee bit of the yeastiness, so it's like a more dense, it's a little bit of a more dense kind of sweet brown bready character that makes up the yeast, so you can really feel that in there. It's kind of wrapped in a little bit of like honeycomb and like crackery type character, so that just sits there above everything else. But on the back third of your palate you can feel the flavour is taller, then as you come further forward into the middle third of your palate it just condenses down and squashes together. But let's go on to the hoppy side of things. So yeah, hoppy side of the beer for me, there's a very slight touch of earthiness in there. As you move further forward you've got a little bit of a kind of floral aromatic sort of thing going on. But yeah, as you move further forward from that, there's a little bit of a kind of herbal thing going on. Then as you move toward the front corners of your palate, there's a little bit more kind of floral aromaticity, a little touch spicy as well. Then round the front curve of your tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more sort of grassy. It's got a wee touch of zestiness to it, which I think is really nice too, but quite an oily green component I would say. Front third of your palate then, and the fruity side of things. The backbone of the front third of your palate is the bread crust. You get the sweeter brown bread in there, then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So let's look at the fruity side of things to round off the flavour. So for me, at the back of that front third of your palate, there's a little bit of a, I don't see so much grapefruit, it doesn't have such a pungent flavour, but yeah, there's a really nice little bit of, there is a really nice little bit of a more pungent, oily passion fruit. As you move further forward, it's got a wee bit more of a kind of oily, yeah, you've got a wee bit more of a kind of oily mango as well as you move further forward. And as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, it has a little bit more kind of, yeah, it definitely has a wee bit more of a sort of, like, it's got a bit of a dry apricot and a bit of an oily pineapple sitting above it. Then as you move into the front half of that front third of your palate, you get a little bit of like a gooseberry and lychee type thing. But then yeah, you also have a little bit of, you've also got a little bit of a kind of lemon lime, you know, just behind the very front tip of your tongue, which is quite nice there too. So for me, very good, very classic West Coast IPA. This is really, really nicely done, so big thumbs up for me. Let's just round off with a wee look at the mouthfeel.
So then you start looking at the,
so yeah, mouthfeel wise, for me, this beer, pushing toward the top end of mid-bodied, the carbonation is really smooth, Lovely kind of oily slickness to this one, which I think is great. And then yeah, you've also got it's really nice and clean as well, actually, which is good. In terms of IBUs, I would say that this one sits at around sort of 60 or 70-ish IBUs. It doesn't feel like it's going to blow the head off you, but it does give you quite a little bit of that. I don't think it's quite 80 or 90 as the style always used to be, but still has a fair wee bit of bitterness to it. The malt base has a wee bit of dryness underneath, a bit of smoothness in the middle, and also a little bit of an oily sweetness on top. And the fruity character, like I said, it's got a big tropical note to it, but then you've also got this more oily, zesty, kind of citrusy sort of thing going on. Really, really nice West Coast IPA. This was the Via Con Dios, a 7% West Coast IPA with Citra and Centennial, our second beer here at Alternate Ending. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Stay tuned. So yeah guys, just a little quick look at the merchandise. It's really loud in here, so you're probably not going to hear me, but you can see some nice shirts, a few glasses and things like that. You've got your tote bag, your little jacket and things like that, some caps, some beanies and stuff. Then you've got a few t-shirts, you know, you've got your tank top here, I think that's a girly tank top, Alternate Ending, yeah, a few different things, cookies plus beer camp. Alternate Ending, Metallica style, that's pretty cool. This one, yeah, kind of plain. More of a kind of baseball-y type shirt, this one. Sort of old school English. Yeah, I'm not sure. This one looks quite interesting too. I like old movie kind of style. One of the baseball ones again. Amity Beer Premium Lager, one of the Alternate Ending ones. This is quite an interesting one. Long sheave question mark, can't speak. Yeah, more kind of jersey type things here as well, which look quite nice. This one's quite nice and fluffy actually. Live, Laugh, Lager. I do like that. That's very much like me. But yeah, there's one of the little kind of zip hoodie sort of things. Yeah, so that's that. So see, quite a variety of different stuff available here at Alternate Ending. Nice little bit of merchandise for you. So yeah guys, this is another really cool thing about Alternate Ending, and I guess the name kind of makes me think about this too. So if you come through to the right hand side, you've got this little couch here and seats and things where you can sit and enjoy a movie, because once upon a time this place actually used to be a cinema. So yeah, you can come and sit and watch a little bit of Star Wars while you're enjoying your beer. So yeah, really quite nice, lovely little cove here where you can sit and enjoy a wee film. There you are. Alright guys, well, time for beer tasting number 3 here at Alternate Ending. So the next one we're going to have a little look at is called Pretty Bird. So this one comes in at 8.5% ABV, and this is a New England Hazy, Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA. Now when it poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said cream coloured head. That has of course faded away to be a really nice kind of thinner foamy layer, but you can see that this one's poured with a lovely kind of sort of mango, pineapple juice type colour, and it's got a good level of haze to it. So again, remember, the colour of your beer depends mainly on the type of malts that you use, but in New England IPAs, the level of haze in these beers is dependent on your oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. It can vary from brewery to brewery and beer to beer, but yeah, this one is kind of along the lines of what you would expect for an 8.5%er. It's kind of right there. So say a New England double, this one. But yeah, the hops in this beer are Centennial, Simcoe, Citra and Mosaic. We know all of these quite well. All American. Centennial, 12% alpha acid, gives you a nice kind of lemony zesty character, sorry. Simcoe is 12% alpha acid, lovely soft passion fruit in New England. Citra's going to give you big juicy mango and passion fruit, and a wee bit of lemon lime in New England. Then Mosaic is 14% alpha acid as well, and that's going to give you a nice kind of big tangerine orange. So quite a classic hop lineup in this one actually, and this was the one that really just kind of caught my eye out of the different IPAs that they have on the list here. But yeah, looks really nice hop bill. Let's have a look at the aroma and see how we get on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Straight away you can smell this one is like just really smooth, creamy and juicy. We explained in the last tasting what makes New England IPA, the fact that it has wheat and oat in the malt base rather than only barley malt as the West Coasters do. And we also talked a little bit about the hopping as well, that these rely mainly on late addition and dry hopping. So yeah, you can really get that out of this one. So yeah, for me, it gives you everything you'd expect of the style. Lovely, soft, kind of creamy malt base, and then you've also got that lovely kind of just quite bright green component to it. But let's break the aroma down then and just describe it for you a wee bit more in depth, as we always do. So yeah, for me, the backbone of this beer is a lovely kind of soft, fresh, white bready bread crust. There's a little touch of woodiness in there. You've also got a little bit of cracker too, but not too much. Yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really nice in this one there. Soft white bread, little bit of Jacob's cream cracker. And yeah, so yeah, bread crust, bit of wood, bit of cracker, big fluffy white bread in there. You can smell the wheat in this one just densifying out that white bread, and you also get some wheaty bitiness in the very back of the nose with this one too. You can smell a lot of oatiness in here too. So as I've said before with New England IPAs, oatiness is usually a good indicator of how fresh your beer is. The creamier the oats are, the fresher the beer is, the drier the oats are, the older it is. That's very apparent in here. This beer is very fresh, it's at source. You get a lot of creaminess out of it. This one does have a very slight sweetness in the malt base too. Usually when you go up to the higher ABVs in the New England style category, you will get a wee bit of like a Werther's Original butter candy butterscotchy sort of thing. You get a little bit of that in this beer, but not overly much, as I said. But it is really, really nice actually. So yeah, for me, the way this beer goes together is really nice in that sense. I think we've said everything we need about the malty side of things, but the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of earthiness in there, but not overly much. Mosaic is going to be the one out of the 4 hops in here that will give you a little bit of earthiness. But other than that, you've got a really big, bright floral aromaticity. At the front of the nose, at the front of the nose, you've got a big zesty, grassy character, and I think that's going to be the Centennial and the Citra to a degree as well that will give you that. And yeah, that goes together really quite nicely. Green component is quite big, floral and grassy on this one. But yeah, for me, the fruity side of things is kind of what you'd expect from these hops. You've got a lovely little bit of kind of juicy passion fruit in there, a little bit of a stronger grapefruit, but not too much. Then you get big juicy mango, a little bit of a peachy sharpness as well. Actually, that'll be from the Citra. But yeah, mango, apricot in there, and then kind of juicy tangerine from the Mosaic. But the Centennial is actually quite pronounced in this one for me. I'm wondering if that's just because I had the West Coast IPA before that had the more kind of lemony, limey type character from the Centennial. It could just be that makes me notice the Centennial a little bit more. But yeah, lemony, a bit of that kind of lemony character, juicy orange, and then all the tropical fruits that I just mentioned to you in there as well. As I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck in, but I think it is about time for us to try this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Pretty Bird, an 8.5% New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA, our third beer here. Alternate ending. Sláinte, skål, cheers. Yeah, that's really nice. For me, the flavour profile on this, I think, is pretty much bang on. It's a big, thick, creamy, leaning New England double, this one. I really like that, actually. So, yeah. Hits all the right notes for me, this one. Really like it. Let's just break it down then, as we always do. Middle third of your palate, the backbone of the beer, lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. A little bit further forward, you've got a little touch of woodiness in there. Then you've also got a nice little bit of cracker just sitting on top of that. Then you get the fluffy white bread and the dense sweety character above that. You can feel that dense sweety white bread, and the wheat has a little bit of zip to it in this beer actually, which is quite interesting too.
I wasn't. He could have talked to me the whole time. We talked back and forth.
So yeah, the wheaty character above the wheaty character above this one is really, really nice. Gives you real smoothness as well. The more you drink of this beer, the smoother the wheat becomes. And then yeah, above the wheat, you're getting that oaty creaminess. So down the kind of middle line of your tongue, you get the nice, dense, creamy oaty notes, and then out toward the edges of your palate, it's got a little bit more of a kind of drier. It does have a little bit more of that kind of drier oaty character as well, but in the dead centre of your palate you can feel there is a little touch of that Werther's original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing, and that's the alcohol in this beer that's giving you that.
10 different things that I need to do, and I appreciate.
So yeah, that is really nice. Just a little bit of Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch there in the dead centre of your palate. I think that says everything we need to about the middle third of your palate. Back third of your palate is really quite similar. So, as I always say, you just get the same flavours at different intensities, but then the yeast on top. So the bread crust is there on that back third of your palate. Not so much in the way of cracker, but you do get a little bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bready character, which is a little bit taller and more airy. Then you get the fluffy white bready character as well. Then the wheat above that, which is a more
For me, what happened was
has a little bit more of a bitey character to it. Actually, you get a little bit more of a kind of bitey, wheaty note in there. Then above that, you get the yeast, like a really dense, kind of sweeter white bready character there. A little bit of woodiness and crackeriness to it, but yeah, mainly a big dense bready character. But yeah, the back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. I really like that about this one, so it gets a big thumbs up for me.
well, you know what? All we have to do is, if I say, well, no, they showed me this, and you go, oh, okay, you know what?
Malty yeast to say the things like this is really nice. Big, creamy, oaty, New England double for sure. So, on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you do get a little touch of earthiness there. As you move further forward, it's a little bit herbal, and as you push toward the kind of front corners of the palate, you get a little bit more floral aromaticity out of this one, and it's a nice big kind of oily character that comes out of this. I think they're using cryo oil in this one, or maybe incognito or something like this, just because of how smooth the green component is. But yeah, around the front corner of the palate, they've got a little bit of a lighter it's got a little bit of a lighter grassy sort of thing, and as I say, it's quite wet and oily in that particular regard, so that's really nice too. Fruity side of things then, front third of your palate. Base of the front third of your palate is of course that lovely kind of smooth white bread crust, a kind of dense white bready character on top of that, then that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters are just rolling their way out of the beer. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of the beer is pretty spot on. Again, it's kind of what you'd expect from these hops, to be honest with you. At the back of that front third of your palate, you do get quite an intense, slightly grapefruity note, but very mild grapefruit. It's a quite strong passion fruit above that, then it mellows out and gives you a big juicy note. Lots of kind of, as you move further forward from that, it gives you lots of kind of juicy mango as well. And then, yeah, under that you get a little bit of apricot and stuff. Maybe there's a bit of a sharper peach in there as well at the back. So yeah, it does have a little bit of that sharper peach in there. As I said, a big juicy mango as well. The passion fruit's there. As you move further forward into the middle of that front third of your palate, there's a wee bit of drier apricot underneath and a bit of oily pineapple on top. Then the base of that front half of the front third of your palate, it's nice and juicy tangerine from the mosaic, and then there's a little bit of a kind of lemony limey character from the there's definitely a little bit of a lemony limey sort of thing from the Citra as well. But overall, flavour wise, this one is really quite nice actually. Alright guys, we're just going to finish off the mouthfeel of this one then. So yeah, like I was saying, this beer for me, it's really just a big thick kind of creamy New England IPA, this one. Kind of pushing toward the top end of mid-bodied. Carbonation is really smooth. Has a little bit of an oily character to it as well. And then it's just, as I say, a really big kind of just creamy, oily, slick sort of thing. But yeah, on the malty side of things, a little bit drier underneath. Lovely big sort of creamy character. in the malt base. But yeah, a little bit of bready dryness too into the aftertaste and a wee bit of sweetness on top. And then you've got a really nice kind of juicy, fruity sort of thing in there. It's kind of a good balance between tropical and more citrusy fruit. But overall, really quite a nice, big, creamy, oily, slick New England IPA. I really like how this one pieces together actually, so it gets a big thumbs up from me. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was the Pretty Bird Centennial Simcoe Citra Mosaic New England Hazy Imperial, whatever you want to call it, double IPA at 8.5% ABV. That's our third beer here at Alternate Ending. So let's leave it at that for this one. Catch you guys with it in just a second with something else. So yeah guys, as is the case with many American breweries, they do have a takeaway fridge, which we can have a little look at now. So over here they've got some of the sour things. They've got the Royal Brett, a Bretty Pilsner, Melissa mixed culture with peaches and toasted cardamom, Kobayashi, which looks like it's an imperial stout with coffee. Then down here, Sweet Joni, a sourdough saison. That sounds quite interesting. The Day After Tomorrow, which looks like it might also be an imperial stout or something, just going by the bottle there. But yeah, if you come up to the can fridge, you can see What If, which is a double dry hopped IPA. Then they've got the Schwing, which is another IPA. Over here, the Why Not Pale Ale, the Prestige Worldwide IPA, Miracle Men Single Hop with Pacific Sunrise, the Hanzo, which is a jasmine green tea table lager. I'm surprised that's not been copyrighted by Sapporo from Japan. Pretty Bird double IPA. They've got two different varieties of it there by the looks of it, the two different colours. Lawrence Wings, an IPA with Pacific Sunrise and Mosaic. The Chuckleheads, number 13, a double IPA, Amarillo and Strata. Who's Next, single hop double IPA with Citra. The All-American Amazonian, a fruited sour. Royal Rug Pilsner, which is very nice. We have tried that on this video. Then the Choose Wisely, a triple IPA at 10% ABV. Via Con Dios, an American West Coast IPA. Then just a few other wee things down here. The Willie's Gold, the Fodder Lager Hellas. So yeah, quite an interesting variety of stuff here in the beer fridge at Alternate Ending. So yeah, interesting. Alright guys, well that is our time over then here at Alternate Ending Beer Company in Aberdeen in New Jersey. So yeah, we had a nice couple of hours here. Dave invited a couple of his friends along who came at short notice, so it was nice to kind of chill and have a couple of beers with them as well. But yeah, here we tried 3 different beers. We tried the Pilsner beer, which I thought was really nice. We had the West Coast IPA and then the New England IPA, and all of those were really nice. I would have had something darker as well, but we only really had time to do 3 beers, unfortunately. They did have an Imperial Stout on the tap list that I was quite interested in. But yeah, we'll maybe do that another time. We'll just need to see. Maybe I can pick one up in one of the bottle shops and things. But yeah, really enjoyed all 3 beers, all very true to style, all very good quality. Can't really complain about that. The pizza was very good. You know, I've not had a sourdough pizza in quite some time, and I don't think I've ever had like a sourdough pan pizza, if you like. So that was a really interesting experience as well. In total, I spent about $45 here, so that's about 450 Swedish kroner, somewhere in the region of like 40 euros, maybe about 36, 37 pounds sterling, something like that. As I said, prices in the US have gone up quite a little bit since I was here last time, inflation and all that. So yeah, it is proving quite expensive this time, but I think the prices are kind of in line with other places that you're going to find. But yeah, certainly can't fault the beer quality and stuff here. I did have a good time. So yeah, that's our time over at Alternate Ending Beer Company in Aberdeen in New Jersey. So as always, check out my social media, check out their social media, let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below if you've been here yourself, and I'll catch you guys in another out and about video very shortly. Sláinte, skål, and cheers.